Are other NFL teams terrified of Bears rookie tight end Colston Loveland? We're going to talk about that and why there's growing evidence and hype around this kid and why the Bears took him number 10 overall. My name is Harrison Graham. This is Chicago Bears Now. We'll get to all things Colston Loveland here in a second, but I want to challenge you guys. Can we set a June likes record here on this channel? Last year, in the month of June, we picked up 34,280 likes across all of our videos. Awesome number. You get to 35,000 this year. We're at 21,399, and it's June 19th, the day we are filming this. So plenty of time. Just over halfway through the month. So challenge all of you. Let's set a June likes record. That would be awesome. Okay, Colston Loveland hype. Now, despite not practicing yet, as he's still been rehabbing that shoulder, I think it's pretty clear that people in NFL circles think this guy can be a big-time player, that he can be kind of a cornerstone piece in an offense. And clearly the Bears think that as well. Otherwise, you don't take him 10 overall. I don't think you take him 10th overall because you think he's going to be a solid player. I think you take him 10 overall because you think he could be a dynamic weapon for your offense. And I think it's just become even more clear over time that teams really wanted this guy. Like, you heard whispers after the draft, because remember the raw reaction is like, okay, it's I'm cool with it, but like, what about Tyler Warren? And then, like, after the draft, like, the more you heard from insiders and scouts and people across the league, you're like, yeah, Colston Loveland was actually the guy that people wanted over Tyler Warren. I mean, just revisiting this Ian Rappaport report the day after the first round, he said every year there's a player who gets really hot really late and that teams are scrambling to trade up for. Last night, that player was Michigan tight end Colston Loveland. When the Bears picked him at number 10 overall, the calls in the early teens quieted. There wasn't a trade until 25. He went on a show later that day as well and said, look, all I could tell you is that there were a lot of trade calls happening, and then when Loveland went off the board, those calls stopped happening. So what does that tell you? It tells you a lot of teams were interested in Colston Loveland. And two prominent teams that's been reported on since the draft that wanted him were the Los Angeles Rams, some guy named Sean McVay coaches that team, and the LA Chargers, Jim Harbaugh, who also recruited him to Michigan, wanted to take him as well. And the Rams went back and took Terrence Ferguson in the second round, so clearly they were envisioning to get a difference maker at tight end. And it gets me excited because when you think about just the reported teams that liked him, and there were probably a few more, these are prominent offensive coaches. Ben Johnson, we don't know how he's going to be as a head coach, but as an offensive coordinator, he's been as good as it gets the last 2 years, and really for a 3-year stretch now. Sean McVay, he is close to the standard offensively in this league. I mean, you could say Andy Reid, you could say Kyle Shanahan. Sean McVay is right there. And then Jim Harbaugh, who's a little more old school, but he loves tight ends. He loves running backs. I think he knows offense, and I think he knows what he's doing, plus others that have been rumored out there. They all wanted this guy. That gets me excited. That fires me up. And Ben Johnson, who did a really good job with Sam LaPorta, who I think was a good prospect, I think Loveland's better, gets you, the hairs on your arms start to stand up a little bit about what this kid could potentially do. ESPN also did a panel among the NFC North teams and the reporters that cover each team of which rookie will have the best season in the NFC North. 3 of the 4 said Colston Loveland, including the Bears reporter Courtney Cronin. She said teams don't draft tight ends in the top 10 without expecting them to make an immediate impact. With Johnson calling the shots, Loveland could be the type of weapon that Sam LaPorta was for the Lions as a rookie, which of course was 10 touchdowns. I thought this stat too, give Dynasty IM credit here. I think he's a fantasy football guy. He put this out there. Only one tight end has ever posted a 34% plus target share in college. What does that mean? That means if the Michigan quarterbacks, when he was, I think this for his last 2 years, for sure last year, if they threw the ball 100 times, 34 of those targets or more, probably between 34 and 35, were targeted for Colston Loveland. That's pretty unique. I mean, tight ends are kind of coming back, but it's still more receiver-driven, especially in these college offenses. Now, obviously, with Harbaugh there, a little more pro-style and whatnot. But it's not shocking when you watched Michigan play over the past couple of years. Colston Loveland was by far their best weapon at the receiver or tight end position, really since he's been on campus, but especially in 23 and 24. and teams still couldn't stop him. And remember, this was a run-first, grinded-out team. They weren't running 85 plays a game like you see some of these spread, no-huddle offenses. Like, they ran a pro-style offense, huddled up, all that stuff, and he still put up big numbers in a run-first offense. And last year, they had some of the worst quarterback play in Power 4 in college football. He still caught 56 balls. He was dominant. Dominant player at night. He led Michigan in receiving as a 19-year-old on a team that won the national championship. Let me repeat that. Colston Loveland, at 19 years old, in a Jim Harbaugh coached offense, a lot of talent at Michigan, was their best offensive weapon outside of the running back position, led the team in receiving on a team that went 15-0, 16-0, 15-0, I think 15-0, and won the national championship. And then the next year when they had no quarterbacks, he caught even more passes. So this kid brings a lot to the table as a receiving threat. And really the only question with him is just coming off this shoulder injury. Like that's the only question mark. As a weapon, he is absolutely dynamic and was a dominant college player. Get yourself a Caleb Williams jersey. I think he's pretty excited to have Colston Loveland. They're only $100 for a limited time only. Go to chatsports.com/Caleb jersey. That link is in the comments and in the description of this video. Pick up your Caleb Williams jerseys today. chatsports.com/Caleb jersey. More from Courtney here. Fellow Chicago tight end Cole Kmet said the Bears want to be the best 12 personnel team in the NFL. It's 2 tight end sets. Securing the top tight end in the draft is one way to ensure that goal becomes a reality. And the outlet Loveland will provide Williams in the passing game is critical for the quarterback making a leap in his second season. You want to know how team-friendly or QB-friendly this guy was in college? Forget last year when the Michigan quarterbacks who were terrible just threw to him basically every play because they had no one else they trusted, and they would just throw jump balls to Colston Loveland, or he would get beat double teams, and sometimes they would airmail him because they were terrible, but when they threw it close, he would catch it. Go watch in 2023. J.J. McCarthy's film in 2023, you know what it's littered with? Seam passes to Cole Kmet, or Colston Loveland, and more so, scramble drill plays. The chemistry they built in scramble drill and Loveland's ability to find the soft spot and be a trustworthy weapon for McCarthy in scramble drill was tremendous. What does Caleb Williams like to do? He's an elite scramble drill quarterback. Like, coming into the NFL, that's what he was. And even last year when he had his ups and downs, a lot of his big plays were on the move, right? This guy at 6'6", almost 250 pounds with his wide catch radius, you just give him a chance, and he's going to come back to the football in those scramble drills and be a weapon for his quarterback. So I encourage you guys to go check that out because you can kind of envision on how this can look starting this year. Let's get back to that 12 personnel utilization, though. We talked about this heading into the draft when we talked about Tyler Warren a lot and Loveland a little bit. Ben Johnson likes 2 tight end sets. They ran 12 personnel, which is 2 tight ends, 1 running back, 2 receivers, 32.2% of the snaps in 2024 with the Lions. And that's with Brock Wright as their second tight end. Good blocker, but let's face it, Brock Wright is not the talent of a Colston Loveland or even a Cole Kmet. There's a lot of reason to believe they're going to run a lot of 12 personnel, especially if Luther Burden ends up being a little slow to come around. Now, that could be true with Colston, who missed all of OTAs and minicamp as well, but you know they want to use 2 tight ends on the field. Cole Kmet said it. Our goal is to be the best 12 personnel team in the league. So that's going to be a lot of these 2 guys playing together. Durham Smythe, we heard a lot out of Joel Wilson in the springtime as well. It makes me excited because the more chess pieces you have and the different players you can throw at defenses, it just makes you tougher to defend. Now, what are fair expectations? Because this is a guy who is yet to practice in the NFL. And let's face it, when we saw him talk at the end of OTAs that 3rd week, he probably looks like he's 235. I mean, he hasn't been able to do heavy lifting. He said he's been lifting recently, but it's not like he's maxing out or anything. Like, you're probably talking light weights as he's been recovering from that shoulder injury. So it's fair to say that, just catching up on the playbook and those physical reps, even if he's healthy to start training camp, there's going to be a catch-up period of time. There are a lot of weapons on this team, and he's probably got to get some of that strength back, especially for an NFL tight end. It could take some time. I just threw some numbers together. I could see something like this: 40 to 50 catches, 500 to 600 yards, 6 touchdowns, 12.7 average, which is a really good number for a tight end. But he's not a traditional tight end. He can block, but he's definitely a receiving first tight end. You can put him in the slot. You can line up outside against smaller corners, throw jump balls to him, do all that stuff with him as well. I would not expect Sam LaPorta rookie production, but that's not because he can't be better than Sam LaPorta. That's because he's missed all this time. The Bears have a lot of different weapons. The Lions' only other reliable weapon at the time when Sam LaPorta in 2023 put up these numbers was Amon-Ra St. Brown as a receiving weapon. Jamison Williams was suspended for 6 games that year and had not really crashed into the scene last year. Remember, he broke out last year, Williams did, which is why LaPorta's numbers went down a little bit in his second year because they targeted Jamison Williams more than they did the year before. So I'm not expecting this because DJ Moore is going to get over 100 targets. Ideally, Rome Odunze gets over 100 targets as well. Cole Kmet is on this team. That's another big difference comparing LaPorta and Loveland. Even if I think Loveland's a better prospect coming out, LaPorta, when he came in, there wasn't a Cole Kmet for him to compete with for targets. Like, he was easily their best tight end right away, whereas even if in a world where Loveland is better than Cole Kmet as a rookie, which we'll see, Cole Kmet is much better than Brock Wright or whoever the other tight end was when LaPorta came on board. So I'm not expecting those numbers, but I am expecting him to be a big-time playmaker when he is given his opportunities. Predict Colston Loveland's rookie stats for 2025. Let me know. How we feeling? Throw some stats down in the comment section below. And just kind of a quick player profile, like the size-weight combo. Again, he's probably more like 235 right now. He'll have to add some weight as camp and the season go on. And he may not be at that full, ideally he gets to 250, 255. That's probably more like next year. Like, I could see him being a little more leaner this year, using him more as a receiving threat, and then really taking that step forward as a blocker in year 2. I could see that being the case, but he's an excellent seam runner. You can line him up all over the place. You can put him in motion, do all that kind of stuff. I do think he has the frame to be a plus blocker, at least down the road. And he's got just soft hands, really good hands. Can make acrobatic catches. His contested catch rate was good. So he's got the full arsenal as a receiving tight end. The next step will be kind of that NFL playing strength, like I said. But I think right away he can plug and play as a receiving tight end in the NFL. Okay, that's going to do it for this episode of Chicago Bears Now. Colston Loveland, a lot of people who know a lot about football think this kid's going to be really, really good. Question is how quick does that happen? Can't wait to find out. My name is Harrison Graham. Don't forget to subscribe. See you guys soon.